Hello, today I'm going to be filming books I read in 2020 part 2. I did film the first one of this back in June. I'm also not sure when I'm uploading the video. It might be one of my first videos of 2021. So happy new year if it is my first video I'm uploading. I'm trying to pre-film stuff because my January is going to be so busy starting a new internship and with my deadlines, so yeah, I'm just going to pre-film a lot of stuff basically. But yeah, I've got 2 piles of books here, but there is also a few books I've either got rid of or there might be still at my uni house. But yeah, I will obviously tell you all the books I have read, and if I've got them I'll show you. If I haven't, I'll just put a picture on the screen. But yeah, let's get started. Number 1 that I read probably around May, June time is Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race by I don't want to get her name wrong, Rennie Edo-Lodge, sorry. This book honestly really opened my eyes. I know a bit about racism. Obviously this came on the back of the George Floyd killing, so I've learnt a bit about institutional racism through doing sociology A-level and in my current degree in education studies, but I did not know the extent of it until I read this. If you're interested about Black lives in the UK, this has a really good history of it. I think my favourite chapter was the histories of the UK, as I just did not know anything about it, and it really puts the national curriculum to shame, I think, this book. Yeah, so I really hope they put this into schools because honestly it's such an important read. It is obviously a lot to take in, but I personally found it quite interesting, so I didn't mind reading it. So yeah, would definitely recommend this. As I said, you will learn a lot from it. A bit lighter, it is Lucy in the Sky by Paige Toon. I think this is her first book she ever wrote. As I said, I was just looking, it was summer, I wanted something easy to read after doing my hard university reading. So yeah, I found this online and I absolutely love this book. It's probably one of my favourite Paige Toon books. Basically follows a girl called Lucy, obviously, and her boyfriend has just cheated on, well, she's about to go to Australia to a wedding, and then she finds that her boyfriend has cheated on her. So she kind of has this amazing trip in Australia, and then she obviously meets another guy and she's not sure whether to go back to her old boyfriend or start things with this new Australian guy. And honestly it's such a nice easy beach ready book. As I said, I absolutely loved it, so yeah, I'll do ratings out of 10. That one's got to be an 8 out of 10. This is probably a 9 out of 10. I absolutely loved it. A bit predictable, but a lovely girly read. Happy by Fern Cotton. I have read her Calm book. I think I must have put that on my previous video. So yeah, I've read Calm and I've read Quiet as well. I'll talk about that a bit later. But yeah, this is basically a book about her kind of journey through depression and her advice and stuff. I liked it, but it wasn't my probably favourite self-help book ever. So yeah, I'll probably give it maybe a 5 out of 10. As I said, a lot of it was very generic, I thought. I preferred her other books personally, but yeah, it's an easy read, I guess. The Family Upstairs. I feel like everyone read this in lockdown number 1. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. This follows 3 different people who all lived in the same house when they were kids. They kind of all get split up for different reasons. So when it first starts, it does kind of jump between different perspectives a lot, and you do have to get sort of used to it, but as the book kind of picks up, it does make more sense. So yeah, I would have to say stick with it. But yeah, it's a really interesting book. I've never read anything like it before. Yeah, I'll probably give this an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. The next one I haven't actually got with me. This is If I Could Go Anywhere, again by Paige Toon. I really didn't like this book. It basically followed a girl, again, who went on holiday to Italy to try and find her dad. And again, she meets a guy kind of thing. She doesn't know if she wants to go back to her old life or stay in Italy. And I don't know, I just didn't really connect with any of the characters. I thought, again, it's a book that does talk about depression, but the way they portrayed it, I didn't think was very well done. I don't really know, something about the book was just a bit odd. It didn't really feel like a Paige Toon book. But yeah, if you wanted something a bit different to read, maybe try that, but I'd probably give it a 4 out of 10, maybe a 3. I don't know. I love the portrayal of Italy. I think they got that bit right, but the actual story of the characters wasn't a big fan of. But yeah, anyway. Taking Up Space by Chelsea Kawaki and Ore Ogumbiai. I'm sorry if I got that name wrong. Again, another one of my favourite books this year. This mainly, again, it talks about institutional racism from perspectives of 2 girls who went to Cambridge University. I think they both went to Cambridge. But yeah, as I said, it's really interesting. I think, again, if you're a university student, you would probably really enjoy this. It talks about black feminism, which I didn't really know much about, and it was really easy and digestible. This was a lot easier to read than the Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People book. Again, I think it's because it's written from like a student perspective. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. They talked about mental health, they talked about social media, they even mentioned my university in it at one point. But yeah, I would really, really highly recommend this one, so I'll give this a 9 out of 10. Flowers in the Attic by Virginia Andrews. I think this is kind of a classic. I've seen a lot of people talk about this online. It basically follows 4 children who live in an attic because their dad has just passed away and the mum hasn't got any money, so she's got to live with her with her mum, so she can like inherit some money so they can live independently. But in the end, the children kind of are basically trapped up in this attic, and it's about them trying to escape. But the 2 older children are like going through puberty, so that's when it gets a little bit weird in my opinion. But it's definitely an interesting story. Like if you like the story of like Room, you probably like this. As I said, some bits were just a bit odd and a bit uncomfortable. But yeah, I'll probably give this maybe a 6 or a 7 out of 10. I think as well, it was written in the 1970s, so it's quite an old writing style, which took me a little bit to get used to. But yeah, I would say a 6 or a 7. White Privilege. Again, you can tell I really tried to educate myself on Black lives and racism and stuff. So yeah, this is White Privilege, The Myth of a Post-Racial Society by Calwant Bopal. I hope that's right. So this is definitely more of an academic text. I think it's published by University of Bristol. Yeah. So at times it did feel like I was reading a book for like an essay or something. But it was definitely interesting, and again I learned a lot from it, but it did take me a little while to get through. Like it looks quite small, but the writing is quite small, so I'll warn you about that. As I learned a lot from it, but just the way it was written, I'd probably give it a 6 just because it was quite hard to read at times. Before we say goodbye, oh my god, this book was so good. If you liked Me Before You, you'll really like this book, but this one isn't as sad, I don't think. So yeah, this follows a boy who is 19 and he's got like a heart condition, so he's been in and out of hospital all his life. It's just him and his mum, and then he goes to university, but he finds out he's only got a few months left to live. That's not a huge spoiler, other things happen as well. And like he wants to find someone for his mum, like a romantic partner. So it's kind of about him doing this in secret, like setting his mum up on these dates and stuff, and honestly it's such a like nice story. So you kind of forget he's dying along the way, but honestly it's literally one of my favourite books now. I'll probably give it an 8 or 9 out of 10. Right, the next few, these books are all at university. As I said, I moved home for lockdown, hence why I haven't got them with me. The first one is, oh hang on, I lie. I did also read this just before I went back to uni. This is Groomed by Casey Watson. This is very similar to like Kathy Glass books, so it follows a girl who is in and out of foster care. So this foster in particular like writes stories about the children she fosters. And so yeah, she's just comes from a very like dysfunctional background. It talks a lot about like sexual assault and stuff, so if that doesn't make you feel comfortable, maybe don't read this. But yeah, I think the character growth in this is really, really good. So yeah, probably 8 or 9 out of 10 I'd say. Yeah, so the next 4 books are all at uni. So the first one is Where the Crawdads Sing. I was really disappointed by this book. Like everyone really hyped it up on Instagram and stuff, and I don't know, I found the first half very slow. So it basically follows the story of a girl called Kaya who lives in the marshlands. Again, she's kind of distanced from her family, doesn't really have anyone, and then she meets a couple of guys along the way who were like land workers. And then she kind of gets dragged into this murder trial because one of the men she meets like is murdered, so a lot of people think it's her because she lives this really weird lifestyle. They just presume it's her. So yeah, I think I found the first half just quite slow. It's very like descriptive, that's the only way I can describe it. Like, it's one of these stories where it's like this happens, that happens, do you know what I mean? Whereas like some of the other stories I've mentioned today, they kind of go back and forth, which I prefer that kind of pace. So yeah, I found the first half of Where the Crawdads Sing quite slow and boring, but the second half was definitely a lot better. But yeah, I'll probably give it maybe a 6 or a 7. The next one is Normal People. I'm sure you know what Normal People is. I watched the TV series first, then read the book. I think, to be fair, it seems to be the book and the TV series are quite similar, which I think is a good thing. And again, probably one of my favourite parts was like the portrayal of Connell's therapy. I thought that was really, really good. But again, I found the book, the way it's written is quite kind of drab in a way. It's very descriptive. So maybe a 6, I'd say, out of 10. Notebook. So I've never read the book or seen the film, so I saw it in a charity shop, I was like, I'll pick it up. And I absolutely love the book. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It follows, it basically follows the life, like the relationship story of this like couple who met, is at the end of the Second World War? I'm not sure. But yes, they met when they were really young. their sort of trials and tribulations, and then you kind of find out halfway through the book that the woman like gets Alzheimer's, so she doesn't remember who this guy is, which is quite sad, but it's really, really sweet, really touching. But it's really weird, the film ends completely differently to the book, which I'm a bit confused by, but anyway, again, it's really cute, so I would probably say an 8 out of 10. Again, another book which is at uni is Quiet by Fern Cotton. So it's similar to Happy, but it's more about your inner voice and like your inner critic, which I think everyone needs to read at this time, especially when you're like on social media comparing yourself. But yeah, it's definitely a lot better than Happy in my opinion, so I'll probably give that a 9 out of 10. The Longest Holiday by Paige Toon. Again, I wanted something really easy to read when I first got into lockdown, and this follows the story of Marty, who, not Marty, what was her name? Laura, that was it, her friend was called Marty. So again, Laura goes on holiday because she just found out her fiance had cheated on her and got another woman pregnant. So she goes away to America, again meets another guy, there's a running theme here. So she meets this other guy, again she doesn't know whether to go back to her ex-boyfriend or stay with this new guy. I preferred Lucy in Disguise to this one, I don't know, I felt like I could relate with Lucy a bit more than Laura in my personal opinion, but again, it's a really cute story, really easy holiday read if you wanted something like that to read. The next, I'll probably use a 7 out of 10. Such a Fun Age. This is by Kylie Reid. So this is the hardback version. Again, this was really hyped up on social media, and I can really see why. So this follows the story of Amira, who is a babysitter for a very... So Amira is of is a mixed ethnic descent. So she babysits for a very white, like privileged couple. So she takes the child out to a supermarket, and because obviously the child is white and Amira is a mixed ethnicity, a policeman basically comes over and assumes she's like kidnapped this child, and they have this big argument, and basically the video of the policeman trying to arrest Amira goes like viral and stuff, but Amira doesn't actually have social media, so she has like no idea this is going on. And then she meets this other guy, and yeah, so it basically follows sort of class differences and like ethnicity differences and things like that. So it's really, really interesting. I've never really read anything like it before. So I'd really recommend. I think I might give this a 10 out of 10. As I said, I enjoyed it from start to finish, although I thought the ending was a bit like, I don't know, nothing really exciting happened in the end, but I think the actual whole story about what they kind of learn about each other was more important than the ending. But I really recommend this one. Our Stop by Laura Jane Williams. Again, another one that's been on the social media everywhere. This follows a story of, what was the names? Nadia and Daniel. They both get the same train, and they basically write into the equivalent of Rush Hour Crush, but it's called Misconnections, that's what it's called in this book. And yeah, so sort of one chapter is Nadia, one chapter is Daniel, and they're kind of saying, oh, I really fancy this person. So it's very like, will they, won't they get together? But honestly, it's a really sweet story, and like there's just so many references to London, which I absolutely love. But one thing that really irritated me is they reference something called the Lust Villa, which is obviously meant to be Love Island, but I don't understand why they can't just say like Rush Hour Crush or like Love Island. I don't know why they've got to change the names of it, but anyway, the actual story is really, really cute. Again, really easy read. So I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10 because I just loved it from start to finish. Currently, I am reading 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty, who also wrote Big Little Lies. I've watched the TV series, I haven't read the book. This basically follows 9 people who checked into this like sort of health resort thing, where they can't have phones, they don't have internet or anything. And yeah, it's definitely something I've never really read before. It's quite a slow burner, like I'm halfway through and nothing really major has happened. I think because there's like 9 main characters, they've got to like reintroduce them all. But as I said, it's definitely different. I think because it's quite a slow book, it's quite a relaxing read. But yeah, as I said, I can't really work out where this book is going at this point in time, but I'll keep you updated in my next what I've read. But yeah, as I said, I'll link the first part of this video down below. But yeah, please like and subscribe, let me know any of your favourite books you've read this year, and I will see you soon.